I don't want my kids subjected to things and ideologies that don't align with what I want to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 6 years old and oh my gosh, because I want to play like a girl, I can be a girl now. Like that's the kind of stuff that's like, what? I can't even wrap my brain around how any adult would think that's okay. Where are they getting it? Where are they getting that their cat is non-binary? I would be petrified to put my kids back in public school.
Are you interested in innovative education and diversity in school models? Do you see a need for something different to bring about a reformation in our current education system? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join us as we discuss what's trending with unconventional learning models, including microschools, homeschool co-ops, creative learning centers, hybrid school models, and so much more. I am your host, Delina Wallace, president and founder of Wichita Innovative Schools and Educators, also known as WISE. This podcast, WISE and Otherwise, explores what our local hub of education entrepreneurs are doing in Wichita. We will also explore and offer brief introductions to the many local and national organizations that support innovation and education. Welcome to WISE and Otherwise. Hello, and welcome to another episode of WISE and Otherwise. Today, I have with me Jenn Troy. She's from Spring Hill, Kansas, and kind of recently has moved to Kansas over the next, I guess it's been the past 5 years. Jenn, thanks for being on the show today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah. So Jenn attends, or her children attend, Freedom Learning Academy. This is up in the Overland Park area with Josiah Enyart. And I have that right? Freedom Learning Academy. We refer to it as FLA as well.
Yes. Yep. That's right.
Okay. And how old are your kids and what's the situation looking like currently? And then I'd love to hear kind of what was the catalyst to help you make this shift over to this amazing school.
Yeah. So the twins are in 7th grade at Josiah School. I have a teenager who's a senior in high school. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, my kids absolutely love school. They get to move around a lot. They get to go on field trips all the time.
Nice.
It's fun to talk to other people about our school. It's almost like bragging rights, like we just do things differently. So it's been a real cool ride.
I love that.
FLA. Yeah. I think
I love that.
We're the OGs. We're one of the first families that started at FLA. So we've gotten to see it from infancy and now till what it is today. So I can't believe it's been almost 5 years.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's great. So, all right, let's go back to the beginning. Josiah started his school in the fall of 2021. And that was the same time that you realized, like, hey, we're not sending our kids back to public school. Tell me what the situation was like that year for you guys.
Yeah. Okay. So we moved here to Kansas from Illinois right at the end of 2020. So in all the fun craziness that was the COVID years, we moved for an amazing job opportunity. And we had been in Illinois our entire lives. Our kids back then were in private Christian school there. But some earlier years, my older son was in the public schools for a short time. So we moved here. My kids experienced some of the local Spring Hill schools the second half of the first year back with COVID. So I keep forgetting all the years, the beginning of 2021. So they came here. We moved like right after Christmas of 2020. So my twins started their second half of 3rd grade, and my older son started his second half of 8th grade, and in the public schools here. And you had mentioned that was just the experience that they had. It's not that the schools, we didn't have much of an opportunity to really get to know anybody at the schools. It was the experience of all the restrictions and the inability to see people and breathe during the day at school. So the twins were there that half of the year, and it was the catalyst, just seeing our children in that environment. For a second year, we were done with it.
You were telling me, for your family personally, you guys were not like necessarily
living in fear of
No.
COVID, and you were living in freedom and
Yeah.
things like that. And
100%.
to have those restrictions, it was just very much like opposed to the way your family was dealing with the situation. Is that
Yeah.
right?
I think it was almost even weirder for my kids because from the very beginning of COVID, I work in natural health care, and I was in a clinic a health clinic during the time of COVID. And we just didn't do things the same way that everybody else was doing. We went against the grain completely. So my life, particularly in the workforce, didn't change much. I'm super grateful for that. And it was circumstance of where I was working, our beliefs upon what was going on in the world at the time. So we knew immediately, my husband and I, that we weren't going to freak our kids out. Like that was the most important thing. And again, I told you, like, no judgment. Nobody really knew what was going on. If other people got a little nervous and scared, that's fine. You know, that was their reaction to something crazy going on in the world. For us, we just knew right away, like we were uncertain. So we certainly weren't going to start passing off an uncertainty and like concern to our children. They were oblivious to all the things that were going on when COVID happened, right? So when you're saying we weren't living in fear, 100% accurate. My kids were not subjected to the, oh my gosh, don't get close to that person. Oh my gosh, don't touch that person. Oh my gosh, we got to stay 6 feet away. Oh gosh, we can't go to the grocery store today. We didn't do any of that. We went where we wanted to go, and we just kept it as normal as we could outside of them being pulled out of school and couldn't go to school for a while. And they had virtual stuff. So we felt freedom. So when I say it was a little awkward for my kids, like when we came here the following year to Kansas and started going to school, it was weird for them. They're like, why is everybody acting so weird? I'm like, okay, do they never take their masks off? Like, and I told you too, the thing that really shook me when we came here, my daughter loves to hug people. She still loves to hug people. And when she got out of the car one day, it was towards the end of the school year. You know, there's always aides and teachers and stuff standing out in the line. She got out of the car and she ran up to hug one of her favorites. And that person like, no, air hug. Like they didn't want to hug her. And I'm like, that is pathetic, really. And that was like, I just didn't want my kids subjected to that type of odd behavior. That's just odd behavior and fearful behavior. So yeah.
And
so
then,
that's the
okay. And this is where I think it just makes sense when we are talking to parents who are looking for a school and an environment that more closely aligns and matches their own family's beliefs and values, and the way that you as parents want to raise your children and train them, and the narrative that you are choosing to speak to them and to raise them up in. And so when you found Josiah and you heard about him and realized, wait a minute, this guy is very much like on board with what we're doing and the way that we're handling things. So tell me about Josiah and learning about that experience, and then just how it was starting the school with him.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's important because if somebody who might be listening to this might think, well, how did you even find him? Or how did you even, like, you're new to the area. I started plugging into social media a little bit and kind of getting into local groups and you know, started seeing like who was who, like who had what beliefs, who was kind of aligned with us. Like we didn't have any friends. We knew nobody coming here. Nobody. It was a job transfer. So we didn't have anybody to lean on or talk to, or so I started just kind of leaning in and kind of watching, and I met some people, and then I started becoming a part of groups. Like there's a Facebook group for Johnson County pod school groups and stuff. So I just kind of started watching on there, and started. And I told you earlier, I don't exactly remember. I wish I did. I don't exactly remember like how I found him specifically. I think parents were on a thread on Facebook asking like, okay, this is crazy. Our kids are going to have to deal with this another school year. Like, what's everybody doing? And his name must have popped up at somewhere. And I'm like, I need to contact this person. because that was one of the things that was the most uncertain. Like, oh my gosh, are we really going to pull our kids out of school and potentially put them with this person that we've never really met? But he's a teacher, but he's done this and done this. And he was on Fox News. Like, okay, tell me more. Like, let me listen to it. So we found him and had a conversation with him about our philosophical beliefs and what was currently going on in the environment, what we wanted our kids to experience in school and not experience in school. Talking to Josiah very quickly, it was obvious. Like, okay, we don't have to be weirded out by taking our kids to school in a guy's basement. Like, we went and met him, talked to his wife, met his kids. The first conversation, I felt so at peace with the decision to put them in his school. Yeah, and that's what we did, moving into his first year of what was FLA. So
right. Well, you had a unique experience that a lot of parents actually don't get to know very much, because he's not only the school founder, main administrator, director, he was the teacher and everything. So when you're meeting him, you're meeting everybody. And you're like, I get what this guy is about, what he stands for, what he believes in, and what he will be like, the type of environment that he'll be creating for our kids to nurture what we as parents affirm and value in our kids. So outside of COVID, are there other general values and faith or belief systems that you felt like there was alignment, that you were like, okay, the public school, that's not it. That just doesn't fit our family. It doesn't fit where we want our kids. But then when you met Josiah and learned about what he was creating, what are some other ways where you felt like he values what we value?
Thanks again for listening to this episode of Wise and Otherwise. We'd like to ask you to take a minute and please rate and review our podcast so that others can learn more about us, and just to continue to show your support for this work that we're doing. It would mean so much. So please, if you're on Spotify or Apple or YouTube, take a minute and give us a good review.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think, again, you try to look back at what has happened in the world and society these last several years, and how I'm so much more aware of things even than I ever was before. I think, again, I hate talking about COVID because, again, we weren't that COVID this, COVID that, but it was the catalyst of a lot of our decisions as I look back and reflect. And I think with the public schools, now there's things coming to light, philosophically, we don't want our kids learning or even being, it's not even learning, even being exposed to the weirdness that is going on in the world. For sake of being too blunt, I don't want my kids subjected to things and ideologies that don't align with what I want to teach them. That's the easiest way to say it. There's just started to be this shift in so much more you can be, can I say this? You can cut this out. I'm 6 years old and oh my gosh, because I want to play like a girl, I can be a girl now. That's the kind of stuff that's what? That is so off the rails for me. I can't even wrap my brain around how any adult would think that's okay. And so we know that's happening in the public schools because we see it in books that are in the library shelves and promoting these types of things. And that's another reason why they're out. I would be petrified to put my kids back in public school for the fear of what they're subjected to and the way the grooming of minds is being today. It's so subtle too, I think is the other thing. It's so incredibly subtle. We want them to be solid in our belief system, and we want them to understand others and understand that everybody can do what they want to do, but I'm not okay with things being forced down their throat one way or the other.
Sure. Yeah. And you mentioned that it's subtle, but at the same time, it's getting less and less subtle. It's
That's
getting
true.
very
true. Yeah.
in your face,
Yeah. And one of the things, my teenager who stayed in public schools for a variety of reasons, like we didn't have to worry about him being groomed one way or the other. He's wiser beyond his years and solid in his beliefs, and stands up for what he believes in. So he's good. But he, you know, like back when we were in school, we never knew about what our personal lives of our teachers, who they were married to, what their belief system was, what their political stances were. Never. It would be weird for us to have known that about our teachers. You know, my son has come home and said, geez, you know, like it's crazy how some teachers can have all the propaganda all over their walls, you know, like, and you know exactly where they stand on their beliefs, one side or the other. Like it's painted all over their classrooms.
Right.
Like that is so, he's like, I don't want to know that stuff. Like, I just want them to teach me. I just want them to teach me. It's so different. But it's also so leaned towards one direction of those lines, those political lines, or the value systems. One side of the line can throw things all over their walls. The other side of the line can't.
Exactly.
You know, without it being a huge problem. And that's where Josiah's school is just super refreshing, because outside of knowing what he believes in the Christian faith that he brings, and he doesn't, like, it's not considered like a Christian school, but the values are there, and we love that. Aside from knowing his stance and belief, it's not brought into the classroom with the kids.
Right.
It's just cool. It's just cool.
And you mentioned in public school, it's like, okay, why is it I can walk in and see all this garbage on the library shelves and see these pride flags hanging up in every classroom and down the halls, but they've removed the Pledge of Allegiance, they removed the Bible, you can't pray. Like, so it's so off balance. It's definitely you know, left-leaning, liberal, and not any of our conservative faith, family, freedom values are just being smothered, you know. And
certainly
then
feels that way. Yeah. Here I'm over here trying to be politically correct, right? You know,
right.
But yeah, 100%. It's just fascinating to me too, when my kids are around kids that go to public school for a day or a couple days or whatever, like some of the things they pick up. My kids don't have like devices. They're not on devices. They're not on YouTube all the time. So, you know, it's fascinating to me how they pick it up from kids, and the conversations that they have with their kids and friends that are in public school. I'm like, where are they getting it? Where are they getting that their cat is non-binary? Like, what are we talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Mom, what is non-binary? I have no idea. Let's move on.
So if anything, you feel like you've been able to kind of escape from the insanity of, you know, what's going on in schools elsewhere, and just feeling confident and trusting and knowing like my kids are in a good place. And being able to have that conversation with Josiah and be a part of seeing the development of FLA, seeing the growth. It's amazing. Are there other things you want to say about just the healthy environment? And I mean, you mentioned field trips, moving around, programs, and variety.
While I always call it non-traditional, it is. I mean, it's so good. It's just back to the basics. The cool part is they're not in desks all day long. Like they're not in desks all day long. What's cool about it too is while they're learning the math, the science, all the things, they also have specials. Like he's brought in from day one, from year one, music class, gym class, you know, he's brought in specials teachers to help with those other things. But several recesses a day, they go outside all the time. I mean, it's borderline too cold out and they'll go outside. That's okay. That's good.
And that's
grab
great.
Your coat and your gloves, and they're constantly at parks, you know, walking to a local park or whatever the case on field trips. But they go to field trips nearly every Friday of the week.
Wow.
So whether it's to the library, that's a couple times a month, whether that's to, the Steamboat Arabia downtown, whether that's to the museum, whether that's to the state capitol. We've gone so many fun places so that they learn and they see in a different setting. That has been one of my favorites. They have art class where they get to go to the art class. The teacher has the art class in her house, in her basement.
Cool.
But it's a studio. It's like you wouldn't even know you were in somebody's house at that point. There's like art all over the walls, and it's just so cool.
That does sound cool.
Yeah.
And it's mixed ages, correct? Like the way that the grades or the kids are grouped together. It's not just like, hey, here's all our 7th graders here, 8th graders here.
Yeah.
Like, don't they blend some of the grade levels?
Yep. So, gosh, it's changed since we've started, but yeah. So and he might correct me if I'm wrong, but like K through 2, 3rd through 5th, and 6th through 8th, I believe is the current structure. And it works really well because the older kids get to be leaders of the younger kids, and the younger kids get to watch that the older kids are leaders. You know what I mean? Like it's really neat. They lean on each other really well. There's not riffraff all the time. There's not constant behavioral challenges because there's an expectation. And it's just, if there are, every kid, you're going to have kids. They're kids. You're going to have issues. That's fine. It's the way they're handled. Like the world isn't falling apart, and children are going to be children and make silly mistakes. And like, it's the way he goes about teaching kids through those behaviors or those challenges that is what I love. They're not automatically labeled that, oh, he's having trouble focusing. Let's talk a little bit about like what might be going on, and maybe you should go to the doctor, and maybe you should. There's none of that, because we had a ton of that with my older son back when he was in public school. Arguably, the teacher was trying to diagnose, which is not okay for her to do. But all that to say is I just love, I love the environment. And while we call it non-traditional, it's still pretty structured. Like it's Monday through Friday, the 8:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. I like the structure. And I think the kids still like the structure. A lot of other, co-op type, homeschool pod type things don't have it as structured. I think my kids would thrive either way. But I think when we made the transition from school to non-traditional school, it was really nice that it still had kind of a structured schedule where you're going every day instead of like, oh, you're only going to go a couple hours this day, and oh, you're only going to go a couple hours this day. It was a good structure that didn't make it such a drastic change for the kids.
But you and your husband needed the 5-day-a-week scenario, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind if it was 4, but because I do believe and I love that homeschool families can get it done in less amount of time. Like, I think that's fantastic, or just can do it a little more, whenever they want kind of thing. But at the time of transitioning our kids, I think it would have been a little bit harder. Again, they're going from traditional school, big school, lots of kids, to, the basement. And it was classroom. Like, he did a phenomenal job making it like a classroom. But yeah, the 5 days works really well, and the structure of it works really well. Especially we work and we want our kids to be in a place where we know they're safe, and we don't have to worry about what's going on at school every day. That's
right.
I mean, that's hard. That's a lot of stress on parents that luckily we don't have. So
exactly. And it sounds like you have found the perfect balance here with having some structure, but also having freedom. And Josiah having the freedom to operate his school and to create the learning environment that's healthy, get out of the toxic environment. And so I'm so happy for you and for your family that you found this fit. I'm so proud to know Josiah and what he has created there, and how it's been such a blessing for so many families in the Kansas City area. So Jenn, thanks so much for being with us today. I really appreciate learning more about your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been fun. I haven't gotten to talk to anybody about this for a while, so it's renewing my oh, we did the right thing.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Well, thanks for sharing, and thanks for tuning into our show today, and we will see you next time.